Hollywood stars, it's Mrs. Woram. I'm back to read our story, Toby's Story by W. Bruce Cameron. I have permission from Scholastic to be reading this story just for you. So when we left off, we saw that Toby was doing a really nice job. He allowed Dorothy to take a nap and she was very uncomfortable and in pain. So he is capable of providing that therapy for those patients. Will Fran see that? I don't know. Let's continue reading to find out more. We're currently on chapter 12. Here we go. A few days later, Mona and I were training on the lawn again. When Patsy came out to visit us, Fran wants to see us both, Patsy said to Mona. About Toby? Mona asked. I could feel her anxiety spike, so I licked her hands. What else? Patsy said with a sigh. I followed Mona and Patsy into Fran's office. Fran was sitting behind her desk, and there was something new in the corner. It was big and reminded me of little of a metal cages some of my friends leaned on when they walked, and I went over and sniffed it. It did not smell fun. Patsy settled down on the little couch, but Mona was too nervous to sit. I tugged at her shoelace. What's that? Mona asked, eyeing the metal thing. A compromise, Fran said. While Mona and Patsy looked at the metal thing, Fran went on. I know you've been training the dog more. Has it worked? Can he be a reliable therapy dog? Mona sighed. He's getting better. That's not what I asked. Oh, no, not yet, Mona admitted. But everybody loves him. They really do. He's been walking with people on the treadmill, Patsy said quietly. They do more PT when he's there. My ears perked. We were going to the treadmill? So I've seen. Fran nodded. And I have to admit that he was helpful with Dorothy the other day. So here's my compromise. Toby can stay. He can stay? Mona bursted out. Her face lit up with a smile. Oh, thank you, Fran. I jumped up on the back legs to lick Mona's hand and wanting to join in her happiness. Besides, her fingers tasted like treats. Fran held up a hand. You didn't let me finish. He can stay as long as he remains in the crate when he's not working. He can help the residents on the treadmill. He can play with the children who have relatives in the hospice wing. But other than that, he's got to be in the crate unless you're training him. We can't have him running through the halls anymore. That's final. Mona's happiness drained away. In a crate? She said. But he's never had a crate training. He won't understand why he's being shut up. And he hasn't done anything wrong. He's just got a lot of energy. Nevertheless, that's my final decision, Fran said. Yes, ma'am, Patsy said. I sat down and leaned up against Mom's leg to make her feel better. Once all the people were done talking, she and I could have a good game of chase. That would fix everything. That night after Mona fed me dinner, we played in the TV room for a long time, wrestling with a rubber bone. It was excellent. Mona usually left right after giving me my food, but today she didn't seem like she wanted to go. Mona, Patsy said, coming up with her purse on her shoulder. Time to leave. Oh, Mom, Mona said sadly. She let go of the bone, and she seized in my teeth and ran around the room in triumph. I hate to shut him in there. He won't understand. I know. But he'll probably just sleep, honey. And you can let him out in the morning. If I just train him better. I feel like I'm such a failure, Mom. No, Mona, sweetie, you're not a failure. Listen, we adopted Toby because the rancher told us he was very mellow and calm. That turned out to be a mistake. He was just tired because he was ill. He's much better now. That's not your fault or anybody's fault. Mona stood up. Patsy hugged her. You've been working so hard with him. You're learning a lesson that's good for a trainer. You can't just go against a dog's breed. You can train a beagle not to run. Mona sighed and hugged her mother back. Then she came to my side and pulled the chew toy from my teeth. I thought we were going to play more tug. Exciting. But Mona walked me down the hall to a little room where my bed was kept. To my surprise, the metal cage from Fran's office was in my room now, and my bed was inside it. So were the bowls with my food and my water. Most bewildering, of all, Mona tossed the rubber bone inside the open door of the cage. What an odd way to play. Of course, I ran in to grab the toy, but when I turned back around so that Mona and I could wrestle some more, Mona shut the door of the cage in my face. Bye, Toby, she told me. Her voice quivered. See you tomorrow. She departed very suddenly, leaving me behind. People are very odd sometimes, but well, food is food. I dropped the rubber bone, stuck my nose in my bowl, and began eating in big gulps. Soon I had finished dinner and licked the bowl clean. That's when I realized I could not get out of the cage. I pawed at the door and I nudged it hard with my nose. It did not open. I barked so that Mona would understand that she made a mistake and that she would come back and get me. But she didn't come back. No one did. I tried getting my teeth around the wire. They tasted cold and bitter and horrible. And no matter how I chewed and tugged or twisted, I could not make them move an inch. What had happened? Why was I shut in there? Who was going to come back and let me out? If I truly belonged to Mona, she would not have left me in there. That's such an awful thought I had, to go back to my bed and lie down. But I couldn't sleep, so I began to chew and tug on my soft cloth that covered my bed, just like I used to chew on my feet when they itched and ached. So Mona was not my person. Was that really true? Would someone else come and let me out of here? Eddie? Patsy? Tyler? The cloth on my bed ripped and some white fuzzy popped out. It did not taste good at all, but still nipped at it. Then I trapped it under my one paw and pulled it with my teeth until it came apart in shreds. I don't know why I did these things, but they made me feel a little better. After some time had passed and my bed couldn't be chewed anymore, I got up and bit the cage again. It only hurt my teeth and my mouth. And still, nobody came. This was dreadful. I've never felt so alone and abandoned, so lost. I could not stand it. Somehow I knew just what to do with the feelings like this. I sat down, lifted up my muzzle, and let out the sadness of a long, mournful ow, ow. I howled. I did it over and over again. Then, finally, the door to my small room opened. Light from the hallway spilled in. There was a wheelchair. It was Dorothy. Granddad was pushing her, leaning on the handles of the chair. Toby, Dorothy said. I stopped howling. My tail even stirred to life. My friends had come. Thank goodness. Good thing I've been spending all that time on the treadmill with Toby, Granddad said, wheeling Dorothy's chair further in the room. I don't think I could have pushed this contraption otherwise. There. Can you get Toby's cage open? A couple other friends were standing at the door looking in as Granddad moved Dorothy closer to me. She reached down and opened the lock on the door. In a flash, I had shoved the door open and barreled through. I was out. I was free. I put my front feet in Dorothy's lap and licked her gentle hands. I raced around Granddad and licked his knees. I greeted all my friends in the hallway and then ran, skidding around the corners, sliding into a wall, jumping up and running for some more. Maybe I belonged to Granddad and Dorothy. Or maybe I didn't. I still wasn't sure. They'd come for me, though, and that's all that mattered. I am free, and I could have fun with my friends. I never go back inside that cage again. Never. And that is the conclusion of our chapter. So he's allowed to stay, but he has to stay in a cage. How's Fran going to react when she finds out that he didn't stay in his cage last night? I mean, was it his fault? Granddad and Dorothy did let him out, but he was howling and probably being a disturbance to those who were trying to sleep. I wonder how Fran is going to handle this. I look forward to reading chapter 13 with you. Until next time, bye-bye.